There's all these lines.
Let's see. Eric has his on, so. I have one on the side. It's very good. Try to go to the cabinet. Kind of back the style.
This meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Here.
Mrs. Shandy,
Here.
Mr. Wilburn,
Here.
Mr. Salt.
Here. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by two wing commanders from Air Academy's AFJROTC program.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as we get started this morning or this evening, I want to take just a minute and read a quick statement. I want to say we've hired a new superintendent. Oh, nope, got in the middle of it. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we've seen a lot of change in District 20 recently, and change can be hard. We've hired a new superintendent. We've welcomed 2, soon to be 3 new board members, and with change can come fear. But one thing that hasn't changed is District 20's commitment to our students. I want to thank Ms. Haber for her hard work over her first 120 days, and I look forward to working together with this board, our superintendent, and her cabinet as we continue the legacy of our great district. As has become our mantra recently, great happens in District 20, and we're going to continue that expectation. Thank you. Ms. Madsen-Bonet, were there any updates to the agenda?
There were no updates to the agenda.
Thank you. Members of the board, are there any items you wish to move from the consent agenda? Are there any updates to the agenda? May we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn.
Aye.
Mr. Salt.
Aye. Board quote tonight is from me. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. That's from Benjamin Franklin. Figured it's a great quote for tonight, considering we're talking about INS 1.1. Board comments, we'll begin with Ms. Cons.
Thanks, Mr. Salt. Just briefly, I just want to say thank you and well done to all the students I've gotten to visit with and do events with over the last month. It seems like so long ago, but you've all seen the pictures of the Sources of Strength Roundtable we had a few weeks ago. And it was just awesome to be with so many dozens of excited kids and staff members. And it just felt good, which I think is the purpose, a lot of the purpose of Sources of Strength is their positive feeling about being part of this community. I saw a mom at a swim meet last weekend whose 7th grade daughter was there, and she was just gushing about how excited her daughter was to be involved in that. So I just want to thank everyone who runs that program. Challenger put on Charlotte's Web, and it was really awesome. Their sets were great, so I'm sure thanks to a lot of parents for doing that too, but they did an amazing, amazing job. And I'm thrilled to watch them in the next few years as they go into high school drama. And then Elf Day Breakfast, which Mr. Pat Shoemaker over at Chinook Trail Elementary School puts on, I think 13 years in a row for his staff. And they were dressed to the nines as Elf. Mr. Shoemaker was Elf. And sorry, I didn't put the picture up, but one of his staff members made an ugly sweater with a snow globe of Mr. Shoemaker as Elf inside the snow globe. So they are awesome and they love their staff and we love them. And so thanks to him for doing that for his folks. And other than that, we were at CASB, our annual conference last week. So we'll discuss that at the end of the board meeting. And I wish everyone the very merriest of holidays and Christmas and Happy New Year. And I hope you all have a really fun, safe break. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Shandy.
Yeah, it's been an honor this past week getting to spend time with cabinet members and getting to know everyone. I've loved that. And then I got to go around a day and see some different schools, and that was awesome. I got to be in Aaron Academy twice this past week, and that was wonderful. Visited Mr. McCartney's class and viewed a documentary screening Socratic seminar about the students' perspective at school. And they did an awesome job of presenting both sides of the story in a really non-biased way. It was amazing. And their viewpoints of what schools should be and how it should be run. So that was really great. Got to see Timber View's modern and jazz bands. That was awesome. They have some amazing guitar players. And yeah, just have really enjoyed acclimating into the team and the welcomeness of it all. So have loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilburn.
Thank you, Mr. Salt. Excuse me, everybody. I'm just getting over a thing and I'm still feeling some of the after effects, but I've always been impressed with District 20 and its personnel, and never more so than after these last couple of weeks. Amy and I getting our training wheels on and figuring out where the bathrooms are and stuff, meeting with cabinet members and getting out to schools. We toured 4 last week. I'm so impressed with Junior ROTC at Air Academy and the program there, what they've accomplished. And I love seeing young people dedicated and in uniform. My kids did that. And kudos to you for just taking the time for something that is going to benefit our country in a big kind of way one day. And I know that program is doing amazing things. We saw Douglas Valley, we saw DCC, where we saw the most amazing learning instrument I've ever seen, that anatomy table thing. If you've never, as a member of the community, if you've never seen this, you can go and see it. This thing is truly amazing instrument of learning that we have in our district and Douglas Valley. And the principals and teachers, just the quality of educators we have in this district, and I'm just getting my feet wet, simply remarkable. And I couldn't be more happy with the time I spent with our new superintendent, just a quality individual in every way, shape, and form. And I think we are going to be doing some really, really great things. So thank you all, and to everybody, I echo Ms. Shandy's comments. Merry Christmas, however you celebrate that. Enjoy family, and thank you all once again.
Thank you. Like the other board members said, went to CASB last week and had a great time networking with board members and superintendents from across the state. We passed new bylaws for CASB, and so we codified several pieces that weren't there before. So that was a really good improvement, a really positive business meeting for the entire organization. Joined Miss Shandy at Timberview's concert the other night with their modern band and their jazz band. Miss Ellenberg and Mr. Rourke do a phenomenal job with those programs, and it's always real exciting to go and hear what they have to say. Other than that, once we get through this meeting, it'll be off to the holidays, and we'll see everyone in the new year. But we have more business to take care of this evening. That's it for me, Superintendent Haber.
So I'd love to start my superintendent update with Colonel Huber. I had an opportunity and just want to thank him personally for inviting me to go to the junior ROTC program. They had all the students there from all the high schools. And I was just so impressed with the quality of our students. I asked them the question, what would you be taking away from this program that you want to apply to your real life? And themes around integrity, community service, staying true to your word. I mean, truly, the students were just taking away all the wonderful qualities that this program has to offer. I had no idea until I got there all the various levels of leadership programs that you have, and just left thinking, I wish every student had an opportunity to get that kind of leadership development, because it's truly remarkable. So Colonel Huber, if you'd like to, and we also have Hannah Bellamy and Ryan Wendt here as well. So, and thank you for coming out on this incredibly snowy and foggy night.
Thank you, Superintendent Haber. I appreciate the opportunity to come highlight one of our programs that we have within the JROTC program. This is my 14th year teaching JROTC at Air Academy, and about 10 years ago, we started an association with the Air Force Academy Behavioral Science and Leadership Department that Superintendent asked me to talk about tonight. A friend of mine at the time, Gary Packard, was the department head, and one of his faculty members, Dr. McCone, was teaching a class, an advanced behavioral science leadership class, and he was looking for an opportunity for his students to have a hands-on experience instead of just an abstract theoretical experience in his class. And what they do is they learn to use various survey tools to coach people on how to be better leaders, to develop their strengths, to minimize their weaknesses, and bring them along. And so instead of just doing a theoretical book study, he was looking for actual people to work with, and asked me if I would be interested in having my seniors pair up with his students in the program. And I was delighted to start that with him 10 years ago. And we kick it off with a lunch up at the academy. I take my students on a field trip up to the academy. We have lunch up there, and then they get to sit down with their partner for the semester and meet them and go through an initial question and answer period and set some goals for the project. And then over the course of the semester, every few weeks or so, the cadets from the academy will send a survey to my students online to do and send back. And this goes on for a couple of months. And then the students at the academy actually take all that data and they write a pretty lengthy report that they get graded on for this class. And then they come down to Air Academy at the end of the semester and sit down with the students and give them that feedback and a copy of the report. And it talks about all kinds of different aspects of leadership, from openness to change to willingness to try new experiences, introversion versus extroversion, all those kinds of things that go into to leadership. And so it went very well the first year. I asked the cadets what they thought of it. They all gave me a thumbs up. Keep doing it. And so Dr. McCone and I did it together for about 6 years. And then another faculty member took over that class and we continued it. And then the last 2 years, it's been a third faculty member. So I'm on my third faculty member up there, but we're still going strong, and their students appreciate the opportunity. It's usually about 30 or 35 students in this advanced behavioral science class that do it. And so they pair up with my seniors and the wing staff. So I brought our fall commander, Hannah Bellamy, and our spring commander, Ryan Wendt, to talk about what they got out of that experience.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah Bellamy. The biggest thing for me that I took from this experience was how I could see myself in 4 years. I'm applying to West Point right now, and I thought it was so cool to be able to meet somebody who's going through the academy. Because living in Colorado Springs, we've always seen the academy, but being able to meet someone and be partnered with someone who has similar attributes that I do and be able to talk to them about life at the academy and all their experiences was amazing. I enjoyed getting to know her and talking about, what's hard, how she like where she came from, and then she just became a really good friend of mine. I also enjoyed being able to learn all my strengths and weaknesses and how they apply to the junior ROTC program.
Thank you, Ms. Harbor, for this great opportunity to speak. I think the biggest takeaway for me was receiving advice from someone who's not that much older than me. Because it's one thing to hear that it's okay to get a B from a teacher. It's another thing to hear it from someone who was only 4 years ahead of me, graduating from one of the most prestigious schools in the nation. And being able to understand that and understand that it's okay to get that B made math finals a lot less stressful this year. And furthermore, I kind of want to echo what Hannah said about understanding what the academy is like and being able to talk one-on-one with one of these people who just went through 4 years of it, and understanding that, the lifestyle is hard at the academy. And ultimately it kind of deterred me. For so many years I thought the academy would be the right fit for me. I thought it would be awesome. But hearing one-on-one with this cadet made me realize that maybe a public school in ROTC would be a better pathway for me, and ultimately led me to commit the other day to the University of Central Florida in Orlando, which was a great relief to have that done. Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak.
Are there any questions for me or the two cadets?
I was gonna say go Knights. My wife went to UCF, so.
All right, thank you very much.
So we're going to come around. We want to shake your hand and take a picture. So we.
So let's see. I think we need to do kind of like a row and a half. So let's all right. And then Ginger, I just need to scooch in a little bit. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Say mistletoe. Awesome. We got it.
All right. Do I have the clicker? Do I have the clicker? Oh, here it is. Big green button. There it is. All right. So it's been a while, almost 3 weeks between the last board meetings. So I have had the opportunity now to spend 90 minutes walking classrooms, visiting with principals in every single school in our district. And I'm so excited because I get to do that again second semester. That's a real priority for me, is to spend time in schools, talking with teachers, talking with principals, and great really does happen here. I'm going to share a few elementary schools, middle school, and what I saw as a theme across all of them, and I'll show you some pictures, is in the elementaries. It seemed like every elementary I was in, they're working on their STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math labs for students, where every student gets to rotate through those. And then really physical evidence that teachers and principals are using achievement data, growth data, academic growth and achievement data to really make sure that they're personalizing those instructional interventions as much as possible with students. And a common way that they're doing that is called WIN time, what I need time, and they all call it different things, PAW time or whatever their mascot is. But it's really a time built into the schedule where students, let's say within a third grade, within all the third grades, may go to different teachers to get specifically the skills that they need. And I'm just so impressed here in D20 that every elementary is finding ways to build in that personalized time for students to get those specialized instruction and the skills that they need. And I saw evidence in that in the elementaries that all of the elementaries that I visited. So this is just a picture of Academy Endeavor Elementary. And again, their library, most of the libraries in the elementaries also serve as like a maker space or a STEM lab. And there we have, I think it was kindergarten students working on coding. They were doing coding on their computers. Antelope Trails Elementary, and there we have our principal, Laura Crescent. I'll make sure I say her name right. She's amazing. And what was interesting, like the ice cream cones and the leaves, these are students when they reach a certain milestone, whether it's learning a certain combination of letter sounds or even a certain milestone with their math skills, they get a chance to go out and, like over on the right, that was kindergarten. They get to go and just put a leaf on the tree. And it's not like people's names are on it or anything, but the students know if they put a bird in the tree or they put a leaf on the tree or they got to put another scoop on their ice cream. There's no names, but the students know that which one's theirs. And it's a nice way, I thought, of really students being able to visualize and kind of track their progress, because research by John Hattie says that that's one of the most effective ways for students to get that academic achievement, is that they have a way to set goals and know what their progress is towards that. And I definitely saw evidence of that. I had a wonderful opportunity at Edith Wolford right before Thanksgiving to go out for their Thanksgiving feast. Loved the turkey hats. I'd never seen that before. It was just a great time, spent time eating with the family that they had just moved here from Texas and just loved the school, just felt fully embraced and like they belong right away. And Robin Lowry, our principal, she was like everywhere, making sure that everything was moving smoothly. And I know how much work that is. So a true shout out to Robin and her whole staff, because we just had, and they had shifts of families coming through, which was really awesome to see. And then at Compass Heights, I went on a wonderful learning walk with the principal, Jenny Sturk. And again, a learning lab where the students were coding, and then there were robots running around in the hallway outside there. So I had to be careful that I didn't get run over by a robot, but they were awesome. And the teacher there on the right was just super passionate about the work. And their music room. I think they really value creativity and exploration opportunities for students. So that was fun to capture that. And then Explorer Elementary with Principal Kristen Driver. And I had a chance to sit with their PLC, and they were talking about math. The person over there on the left is like their math coach. And I was just so impressed. They were so open with each other and what their struggles were. And one teacher had a strategy that worked really well, and they were looking at a common assessment. And the other teachers were like, well, what did you do differently? So two of the teachers decided they were going to do something differently because of what they learned from one of the teachers that just got better results. So that is exactly what we want happening in professional learning communities. And again, a thank you to our community and a thank you to the board for supporting PLCs. And they had to send me this picture. It's truly, we have virtual reality goggles that they can check out. And this student was holding the whole world in his hands. They said it was virtual reality of the space, and he was holding the earth. So she said, you just have to see this picture, and like, send it to me. So at Frontier Elementary School with Dr. Julie Murray, we had a great walk. I liked what I saw on the top left-hand corner there. You see that on the desk of students in this classroom, it says, I sort of understand and I need more practice. So she had a practice of having students self-assess where they were at and then being really visible with that. So she could walk around and see who said they might need a little extra help, and she pulled a group. I'd never seen that on student desks before. So I thought that was really innovative. And there's Dr. Murray. She was proud of the little monsters behind her. The students all made that. And what I saw at Frontier is just evidence of a lot of student artwork. And then over on the right, as you know, one of the strategic goals that we have is around that sense of belonging, that sense of community. And I think this teacher regularly does like a community circle, and the student was sharing pictures of his dog and talking about that. So, and then everyone in the circle started talking about their dog. So it was really fun. It was awesome. Just that sense of the kids just really belonging. And then the picture in the middle, she was talking about, it was a math thing, and they go up and over. I think it was the decimal point, and the students were doing it. So that idea of whole body response is also, we know, is a great way to help students retain what they're learning. Chinook Trail Middle School with Tom Andrews. We had a great, Tom Andrew, we had a great, I was going around and spending time in their professional learning communities. And so up in the left corner were English teachers, and they were all talking about what was going well and what some of their challenges were, and really learning from each other. And then in the lower right corner was 8th grade science. I had to go there because I did that for almost 10 years, middle school science teacher. But what I was really excited about with them is they did a book study on, it's called Writing Revolution. And they were all looking at how they can incorporate more writing into what students do every day. And they showed me an example of how students were doing a concept map. I want to say it was about space. And then they had a way, kind of a real direct way of being able to write about it. And we know that writing is like a muscle, right? The more opportunity students have to write, the better they get at it. So I was thrilled to see that. And they were saying how they were going to start sharing what they were learning from that book with other teams in the school. So that was really fun and exciting to see. And then I went to the Village Middle School with Ash and Jaleel, and we were having a community meeting, which was really fun to kind of be able to share at. They were sharing that what is one thing you're good at and what are some of your challenges. So that was really good to hear. And then I just gravitated to this Rubik's Cube station. So they had different stations after the community group that students could go to. And I was like trying to do it, and these students are fast, so that you can see in the left-hand corner, they have a little timer and they're like, go. And the student over on the far left, I guess, is the champ. I can't remember how quickly he could do it. I mean, it was like a matter of seconds, and he got it. So of course, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try. I could not even attempt to go think as quickly as they did or problem solve as quickly, but it was really great. There was a lot of energy. The students were problem solving. They were helping each other. And you can see over on the right, he beat his time. So he was thrilled. So I caught him in action. And then I went to a holiday concert as well over at Discovery Canyon. And I would say I've been to a lot of different concerts, and the choir teacher there, Deborah Siebert, invited me like 3 weeks ago so I could be sure to get on my calendar. Absolutely one of the best concerts at high school concerts that I've ever attended. Truly remarkable. She had a wide variety of music, and the transitions between the different groups was just like this, and beautiful music. Just left really getting into the season. It was a great way to kick that off. And then, of course, our CASB conference. And I didn't get to sit with you guys, but kind of eavesdrop every now and then because we didn't have 2 tables. But I think you guys had a great time with our students. The students that were able to go came from the superintendent student advisory group, and we truly have a diverse group there. And I think where we have 8 students, 2, 4, 6. I think there was one that was missing. We had between 6 and 8 students there. And I was just thrilled, and I checked in with them, and they all thought they had a good experience. And I think, and a thank you to Brett, was the official chauffeur, drove them down, snow and all. And I just appreciate you, Brett, going and being their chaperone. And then there we are at the table. I know, and maybe you guys will shout on that. They asked some they came with questions, and they're really well organized. I was really proud of them. And I think we all learned a lot from them as well. And then as Director Wilburn was saying, we got a chance to go to the biomedical place we were able to go together to different schools on Monday as part of the onboarding process. And this is the biomedical table. They have about 300 students in this program this year, and every single student has had an opportunity to manipulate this virtual lab. It's actually real cadavers that are in there, and you can type in like he showed us the nervous system, the skeletal system, and the circulatory system, and you can actually pull up the heart and press it and it'll beat. You can kind of see how all the parts move. I was fascinated. I taught anatomy and physiology once, and I didn't have that.
I'd just like to clarify, this was a virtual representation of a real cadaver,
Yeah.
not actual real cadavers.
I just got totally into it, Aaron. I'm sorry. I was just like, every science and nursing bone in me was just like pulled straight in. Yeah, that could be not so good, right? So then we also went to Douglas Valley Elementary School, and Principal Murray is always high energy. Had a chance to visit a kindergarten class, and I think that was really fun. Director Wilburn was showing his muscles, and the kids all had to do that too, and it was super fun. And then we had a chance, of course, to visit Eagle View Middle School, and Principal Jamie Lester was telling us about the special program we have with Children's Hospital, where we get some extra support from them, one-on-one with students around just checking in around mental health. And I was just so appreciative of Principal Lester taking that on, and it's still continuing and helping so many of our kids. And we had a chance to go to Air Academy and visited with Colonel Hubert and Dan also Principal Olson, and just walked the campus, and that was a great experience. I've been working really hard, and I know a priority for me is building those community partnerships. And so I had a chance to go with Ann Caesar with UC Health. The two of us drove up to St. Vrain, and we saw their innovation center, which was amazing. And I had a chance to talk to Dr. Haddad too, as a superintendent there. And I mean, they're building an airplane. They had a AI lab. They had all kinds of different opportunities that students could go between to experience different types of career pathways. So Ann and I had a great time dreaming big on the way back and how we could partner with UC Health. I'm taking a field trip with her and then potentially two other business leaders in the community next week. We're going to meet with the president of Pikes Peak State College and visit their health sciences center and see if we can continue to brainstorm more about how we can bring those opportunities to our students. And then last, I think you were able to read this article, but really congratulations, Liberty High School, on their students in the construction program. On Friday, students handed the keys over to new owners of a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. The house was built entirely by students over the course of 2 years. It was purchased by Victoria Turner and her family, and she is a Pine Creek graduate who enrolled in Liberty's CTE classes. And not only did she help build the house, but her classroom did the construction skills and certifications. She got those right out of high school, and she landed a job as a roofer right after graduation. And they now live in the house. And I heard recently that People magazine reached out to them and may want to do a story. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And that is the end of my superintendent report.
Thank you. Now we need a motion to approve the following resolutions. Resolution 337-23, approval of matters relating to administrative staff licensed. Resolution 338-23, approval of matters relating to staff specialist staff. Resolution 339-23, approval of matters relating to licensed staff teachers. Resolution 340-23, approval of matters relating to classified staff. Approval of the Board of Education study session minutes from November 16th, 2023. Approval of the Board of Education regular meeting minutes from November 16th, 2023, and approval of the Board of Education special meeting minutes from November 30th, 2023.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn.
Aye.
Mr. Salt,
Aye. We now have about 30 attendees online. As there are no items pulled from the consent agenda, we'll move on to number 9. Information items, the 2024-2025 new course proposals from Air Academy High School and Village High School. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, and Dr. Susan Field, Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services.
Hi, good evening, Board. Tacey Killingsworth, who's our Director for Curriculum and Instruction, will begin this presentation.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight representing the new course proposal process for Academy District 20. Is that better? So I just want to share a little bit about the process, since I know we have new board members and this is something we do only once a year. So sometimes I forget what I do if it's only once a year. So our new course proposal process aligns to Administrative Policy IIAC E3. And really what happens is at the beginning of the year, I send information out to our high schools and just say, you know, new course proposals will be coming up due in November. So start thinking about what kinds of courses you would like to add to your school to enhance the programming for our students. And so as our high schools get together, they talk about what are things that students are interested in, what are some courses that they want to add to just that overall well-rounded experience to prepare our students for college and careers after high school. Once they've decided, hey, here's some ideas that we have, they fill out a new course proposal, which you saw in your packet. And that new course proposal really it gives the title, the content, how long it will be, the type of credit, those things. They include a description and really the rationale of why that particular course will enhance the programming at their school. A part of that is also, can they teach it with the current amount of TE that they have at their school? Are there any course fees? Is it a course that might go to NCAA for approval, which you probably know NCAA is, you know, the collegiate athletes that have to take particular core courses that are approved by NCAA to qualify to play at the college level. And then we look at the HERE requirements, which is the higher education academic recommendations. And so most colleges put out there, like, here are the number of English courses, math courses, social sciences, science courses, et cetera, that they want students to take during their high school career so that they are prepared for college courses. So for example, many colleges say they want students to take, you know, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 at least before moving into the college level courses. Additionally, they have core academics, so maybe like the performing arts, so students who are interested in the drama or theater, that can also lead to a pathway into the university or college level as well. So those HERE approved courses are courses that will support them as they move on to their college career. Courses that are more unrestricted electives, for instance, the mountain biking course that is being recommended for approval tonight is an unrestricted elective that would not qualify for the HERE. That's more of just a great experience for kids, but not necessarily a pathway once they move into college. So once they submit that to us, and they also include what are the students going to be learning, what are the objectives, and then what is the course outline. My department and curriculum instruction take a look at that, and if we have any questions, we go back to the schools, talk through that process. Once we've solidified it, I bring it to our learning services departments, and so that's led by Dr. Susan Field, and then all the directors, like for assessment, professional learning, special ed, special populations, literacy, I walk them through those proposals, and they have an opportunity to ask questions so that they understand what our schools are looking at to offer for our students, and then ask really good questions that maybe our schools haven't thought about. And then if there's any things we need to shore up with the school, I reach back out to the principal and talk through that with them. Once that's all finalized, it gets put into the little packet you got before this Board of Education meeting. So tonight, we actually have 2 courses being proposed. One is from Air Academy High School under Principal Dan Olson, and that course is called Principles of Horticulture Science. And I think the great thing about this particular course is Air Academy, and I think you probably read this in the rationale, they've really been exploring courses around environmental science because of student interest. And so Mr. Olson has actually set aside some land out over there by Air Academy for them to have a hands-on learning experience as they navigate through the learnings in this horticulture science class. So, and the teacher for that is Nessa Roki, I think is how you say her name. And I visited Air Academy for an external review, and I was watching a PLC time, and we introduced ourselves, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the one I've been talking to about my class." So she was so excited. So that is the new course being proposed by Air Academy. And then we have a new course being proposed by Village High School under Principal Nathan Gorsh. And that course is mountain biking. And the teacher that has proposed that course is Jason Catron. And typically we do have the principals and teachers here so they can answer any questions, but due to weather, I said, I'll do it for you. But the mountain biking course, again, is if you know much about Village High School, they really try to offer their students a variety of experiences to help them kind of explore what it is they like about Colorado. They have a fishing course, they have barbecuing, they have beekeeping. It's just a lot of opportunities for kids to have a well-rounded experience. So those are our two new course proposals. Do you have any specific questions for me about the process or the courses?
I just want to say that they're both really cool, and I was thrilled to see them. Especially, I got on a kick with the gardening and learning centers at Casby. We saw an amazing system of education that I think Durango is doing. So I'm like, ooh, maybe this is the start of D20's program. But it really, they both, kudos to the principals and the teachers for tapping into the trend of where students are looking, exploring. And so I'm excited for them.
Yeah, and words of encouragement for going through the packet because it's not easy to do. So it's great to listen and, get a vision for what your kids are wanting and then do it. So it's awesome.
Thank you. All right, next up is the monitoring report for ends 1.1, knowledge and skills, Superintendent Haber.
Yep. Dr. Susan Field, Assistant Superintendent for Learning Services.
Good evening, board. Okay, is that good? Great. So good evening. First of all, we are very pleased to be here this evening to present to you our annual monitoring E1.1 report. Tonight, a team of us will be presenting sections of the report that connect to our areas of work. So Jolynn Patterson behind me, waving, Director for Assessment, and I will focus on the district data tied to the performance framework and our local assessment called MAP Growth. Dr. Jamin Pariseau, wave Jamin, who is our Director for Career and Technical Education, College and Careers, will share indicators 9 and 10. He's going to talk about the CTE aspects. And then Mrs. Lori Hartman, Lori's over here. She's our Director for Digital Integration Services, and she's going to talk about E1.1.1. So that's a lot of ones. So this report reflects the board's charge of monitoring the global end statement that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success. Our teachers, principals, and with the collaborative support of the Learning Services team continue to work extremely hard and focus on the growth and achievement of all students in Academy District 20 in all content areas by meeting or exceeding Colorado academic standards. And we are very proud that we are accredited with distinction for the 15th year in a row. And this is a very dense report, as I told you last week, and we are open to taking questions along the way, whatever works best for you.
I think the first 3 years I did this report, I was like, I just kept doing the numbers and it didn't even make sense to me. So please stop us and please ask questions and let us know because it's a lot of content. So as Dr. Field shared, tonight we'll be sharing highlights and information from the E11 report, including methodology and interpretation of the indicators, as well as she shared, Dr. Field, Mrs. Hartman, and Dr. Pariseau will share additional information. As we walk through the report, we will provide page numbers for each section so you can easily follow along. Before we move to the report, I want to share some information with you regarding the district performance frameworks. So when you got here tonight, there was a clip, you had a lot of prizes on your tables. The one with a lot of blue and green on the front is the packet that I provided that has our district performance frameworks. So for our new board members, just giving you a copy of that because that's what this report is mostly based off of. The second document looks at, it's an annotated version of the DPF. And then as we walk through the report, I will refer to the next one that's got a lot of green on it, which is an overview of all of our schools and district. So the schools get a school performance framework and the district gets a district performance framework. So those are just scores over time, just as a reference for tonight. And then I made you a new form that starts with cut points at the top that looks at the difference between CMAS and then MAP growth and just some basic information. After the meeting tonight, I sent Tina an electronic version of that because a lot of those blue links, if you have questions later, if for fun and light reading, you can study up and look at those pieces as well. And then the last one just looks like at growth in Colorado. So we'll keep moving, but I wanted to make sure you had those documents in front of you. So historically, the district and our schools receive their framework yearly from the Colorado Department of Education. During the COVID pandemic, the DPF or District Performance Framework was frozen from 2019 to 21. So you'll see that represented in some of the chart titles tonight. The 22 and 23 frameworks are once again provided to the district in each of our schools. And so I already spoke to your third handout is really that historical view of how our students performed. And also that I gave you a copy of the performance framework. So this report, there are 3 performance indicators that are used on the DPF. There's academic achievement, academic growth, and post-secondary workforce readiness. Information regarding the cut points and scoring of the DPF, so when you think of the front document there, are in Appendix A. And you will see that each year has a unique set of cut points. When you look at that, you're going to say, wow, Jolyn put 3 of these in here. But one of them's for 2019. One was when we started 22 and then 2023 as well. So I wanted to make sure you had those references. So some questions were presented to us from ahead of time, so I just wanted to address those. So thinking about the cut point sheet I gave you, when we look at scores tonight, academic achievement really looks at how students performed that day, that time on the assessment. When we look at academic growth, we're looking at how did students perform from one year to the next. So you'll see in the report and in the chart titles, sometimes there's academic achievement reflected and sometimes it's academic growth. So thinking about the district performance framework at the elementary and middle school level, growth accounts for 60% of the score that the district and schools received, and achievement accounts for 40%. At the high school level, 30% is for achievement, 40% for growth, and then there's a third category called post-secondary workforce readiness, or sometimes you'll just hear the acronym PWR. Mr. Salt.
Could we get the PDF up so on the screen so people can follow along? Thank you.
At the request of the board in 2021, the E11 report began to include MAP growth. So MAP growth is our local assessment that we adopted. It's a benchmarking tool, and so you'll see that data represented in the report as well. The MAP growth benchmark assessment was implemented in the fall of 2020. Which was a little rough during a pandemic remotely. I was like, why did we do this? No. Timing sometimes just doesn't work, but it worked out great. It's a great tool and gives us great information on our students. So as we walk through the report, it's important to note that what MAP growth and what CMAS are assessing. The MAP growth assessment is aligned to the Colorado academic standards. This assessment provides teachers with the student's instructional level, which is different from CMAS. CMAS provides performance levels identifying what grade level standards students have mastered. So MAP Growth completed a linking study that provides us with predictive data for CMAS, including PSAT, SAT. So we use that assessment, and we're just in January, we'll be doing what we call our winter window of testing. And we really use that information to say, how are we doing? How are kids doing? Have we prepared them for state assessments? Because then we have time to continue teaching and continue learning. So now we're going to look at the meat of the report, and we're going to start on page 1, or the front of the report. ENDS 1.1 Knowledge and Skills. Reasonable progress for this indicator is accomplished by meeting at least 8 of the 10 indicators. I will begin with the first indicator. This indicator is measured by the overall rating of the district performance framework. The standard or expectation for meeting this indicator is the same as the state expectation of accredited or accredited with distinction. Academy District 20 was accredited with distinction. The standard for indicator 1 was met. Indicator 2, academic achievement, measures how students performed on the assessment in the given year. The district met the Colorado expectations for academic achievement. This rating represents all students in the district who participated in CMAS, PSAT, SAT, and our Colorado alternative assessments, which is COALT. This year, a new appendix has been included and outlines performance of students in various subgroups. For example, students with disabilities. So at the back of your document tonight on page 28 is Appendix F, and that's where that information is reflected. We had a question from the Board of Education asking if it would be reasonable to have all of our students with disabilities to perform at an approaching rating in the future. So I had reached out to Dr. Lujan Lindsay, who is our Executive Director for Special Education, to collaborate and make sure we are collaborating on our thinking. And you will see that in Appendix F, our students with disabilities are scoring in approaching or higher in growth in each of the levels. So for elementary, middle school, and high school. What we have to keep in mind is that achievement will be harder to attain, as this is directly related to grade level standards. Students with disabilities qualify for an individualized education plan, or an IEP, meaning that they have a disability and they're working 1 to 2 years below grade level, requiring additional support. Our goal is to continue to move students forward yearly, and those growth scores really demonstrate that, because we're seeing that those kids are moving forward. They may not yet be on the standards for the grade level, but we want to see them keep catching up, because then we're going to close that gap and we're going to see them keep performing at a higher level. So we continue to focus on supporting each student and working to close that learning gap over time. That often takes like 2 to 3 years. Like, it can take a long time to catch kids up. So next, we're looking at indicator 3, academic growth, which measures how individual students performed from 22 to 23. The district met Colorado expectations for academic growth. We're now going to page 2. Indicator 4, post-secondary workforce readiness, measures SAT scores, dropout rates, matriculation rates, and graduation rates for high school students. The district met the Colorado expectation for post-secondary workforce readiness. Indicator 5, academic achievement in English language arts and math. Successful progress toward academic achievement in grades 3 through 11 are indicated by CMAS, PSAT, SAT, and MAP growth performance results in English language arts, or ELA, and math. You will notice this year science scores are not provided from CDE, as this is the second year students were tested using the 2020 standards. The 2024, so this spring when we take the assessments, and then next fall when we get the frameworks, will again include science. And we take science at grades 5, 8, and 11, just as a little note there. So I'd like to point out that Appendix A, page 19, and Appendix B, page 20, provided detailed information for the cut points and the scoring for each of these assessments. So we're thinking about CMAS and MAP growth. The color coding used matches the coding provided by the state and the vendor for each assessment. So you'll notice that for CMAS, meeting the expectation is green. but MAP growth uses yellow as their meeting color and indication. So I just wanted to be clear so that doesn't, you know, cause confusion. I know, Mr. Salt, you had a question around indicator 2 and indicator 5. And so indicator 2 is connected to the front cover of the district performance framework. So it's looking at district level performance. And then indicator 5 is reflecting how we performed at each level. So it breaks it down then if we get into the interior of the frameworks for elementary, middle, and high school. The district met the standard for this indicator. So we're going now to page 4. Indicator 6, growth in ELA and math. Successful progress toward annual growth at the elementary, middle, and high school levels are indicated by CMAS, PSAT, SAT, and MAP growth performance results in ELA and math. The district met the standard for the indicator. And again, on this one, when we're looking at the indicators, indicator 5 is looking at academic achievement, where indicator 6 is looking at growth. And so those are looking at two different scoring pieces for that section. Now we're moving to page 5. I only have 2 more for you, and then you get to hear from Jamin. Indicator 7, successful preparation for high school graduation and college is indicated by the Colorado SAT mean scale score as determined by the district performance framework. The district met the standard for this indicator. Indicator 8, success is indicated by graduation rates measured by the DPF. Note that the most current data available is for the previous school year. So in this case, and on this performance frameworks, it would have been our 2022 graduates. Based on the standards below, the result meets the standard for the indicator. Next, Dr. Pariseau will be sharing information regarding college and career readiness in indicators 9 and 10 with you. And he's starting on page 6, so you can be.
Good evening. Indicator 9 is regarding ICAP, which is the Individual Career and Academic Plan. It is a multi-year process that intentionally guides students and families in their exploration of career, academic, and post-secondary opportunities. With the support of adults, students develop the awareness, knowledge, attitudes, and skills to create their own meaningful and powerful pathway toward post-secondary and workforce readiness. The state of Colorado requires ICAP for grades 9 through 12. District 20 offers a robust ICAP program that goes beyond the required grade levels, beginning in the 6th grade. In compliance with state requirements, students are given opportunities to participate in and track progress on the following through District 20's ICAP program. Interest surveys focusing on career and college exploration, establish written post-secondary workforce SMART goals, intermediate benchmarks, and data reflecting progress toward established goals. Activities that establish connections between school-based instruction and the world of work, and intentional planning of students' sequencing of courses and programs that reflects progress toward their post-secondary goals, college applications, resume development, and alternative work-based applications, and understanding of financial literacy of life after high school. District 20 schools primarily use the Naviance College and Career Readiness platform to both deliver and manage students' ICAP work, although we're in the process of reviewing and updating our ICAP platform and systems. Indicator 9's goal is to have 95% or greater of students actively engaged with the ICAP process. The middle school grades 6 through 8 did meet our goal with 96% respectively participation for the 2022-2023 school year. Regarding high school grade levels 9 through 12, they missed that goal by 1 percentage point at 94% participation. Moving on to indicator 10, in addition to the key academic indicators as mentioned previously in this report, and in alignment with the student's ICAP process, students who are college and career ready upon graduation are those who also have developed relevant technical skills and knowledge, 21st century employability and leadership skills, and or have had relevant real-world experiences. In alignment with state and federal frameworks, this indicator consists of multiple pertinent measures which give a snapshot of graduated seniors who are college and career ready beyond meeting graduation requirements. Mr. Salt, you had one question regarding this indicator, or 2 questions actually. But one is regarding, in the sense of what this is comparing to. And a couple years ago, this indicator was dramatically different. And the baseline data for the year was changed. Comparing each new year to see if growth is achieved. Indicator 10 before was not as informative. For example, it used to be called the percentage of District 20 CT graduates who took 2 or more CT courses within a pathway and subsequently continued with education, employment, and or military as surveyed 6 months after graduation. This was based on data we are required to provide the state for CT Perkins funding, and it was a survey to graduates themselves, their parents, or their teachers 6 months after graduation on what those students were doing at that point, whether college, job, military, etc. The problem is the return rate of the data was not high, and the indicator was met if 95% of students surveyed were employed in school or in military, etc., which is kind of a low bar. Because if you're not doing those things, what are you doing? Probably in the basement, right? So we wanted to change that indicator, and that's where we came up with multiple measures. And so the indicator 10 metric changed in 2021 to better align to what we inspired to ensure, which is college and career readiness, by using multiple measures, which is graduating seniors who have achieved beyond minimum graduation and college entry requirements, such as seniors who are CT pathway completers, who have work-based learning experiences, who earned an industry certification, who earned college credits, and or who scored high enough to earn college credits on an AP or IB assessment. And so that's where that measure changed to. And so when we started the metric, we created just that as our baseline data set. There is data out there in the ether. Some of it is hard to accumulate in a timely manner for this report, but that's something we could always look at if we wanted to compare ourselves to maybe the other districts or to the state. So the data represented in this indicator 10 represents the 2023 graduated senior class, which consists of 1,778 students. And so the different indicators are CT pathway completers, which is the percentage of graduating seniors who have completed a sequence, at least 2 years or equivalent, concentrator or completed status of courses within a career and technical education pathway or program. This indicator had the largest drop. All the other ones remained the same or had slight growth at 29%. And to address another question you brought up, why the drop, right? And a lot of it had to do with last year's graduating class was affected by COVID for 3 of their 4 years in high school, which affected marketing, recruitment. When you're taking classes from home or not knowing what the situation may be, you probably wouldn't sign up for something that's more hands-on and in person in the sense of those learning opportunities. That's the biggest indicator or the biggest effect upon that senior class. Last year, which that senior class was a part of, we had over 3,600 students enrolled in CT programming, so that number should rebound. Another indicator that's part of this is work-based learning experience, which is the percentage of graduated seniors who have successfully completed a work-based learning experience as defined by the CDE's work-based learning continuum, which is the clinical experiences, credit for work experiences, internships, pre-apprenticeships, industry-sponsored projects, supervised entrepreneurial experiences, apprenticeships, and on-the-job training. That was at 12.1% of graduating seniors, which was an increase over 10.4%. The other one is industry certifications. That's the percentage of graduated seniors who have earned an industry or business recognized certification or credential as listed on the Colorado Department of Higher Education list and the Career Development Incentive Program. That was at 4.9%, which had a slight increase over 4.8% from the year before. College credit, it's the percentage of graduated seniors who have successfully taken at least one college course earning a C- or higher. That was at 21.9%, which is a slight decrease from the year before, but still above the baseline data set. The last one is AP and IB tests. That's the percentage of graduated seniors who have scored at least a 3 or higher on at least one AP test, and or those graduated seniors who have scored at least a 4 or higher on at least one International Baccalaureate test. And please refer to Appendix C regarding the breakdown between AP and IB in the sense of what colleges look at. That remained relatively consistent at 38.7%. The year before was 38.8%, so that's been pretty level and consistent. So the outcome noted in this data are intertwined with students' ICAP goals. And as we refine our ICAP program and systems around these 5 measures, and as we look toward innovating the relevant college and career focused programming, students and parents will further engage and take advantage of these opportunities afforded them in the future. And so the statement of reasonable progress, 9 out of 10 indicators met the standards, and so the ends achieved as interpreted. And so if there's no questions, I'll turn the time over to Ms. Hartman, who will lead us through E.1.1.
Has that grade level threshold, C-, has that been consistent for the last 4 or 5 years? Or has that pandemic adjusted.
For the grades. for
Correct.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah, when we track the data, we look at students taking college courses and made sure they had a C or higher. A C minus is, if it's below that, it's not, doesn't help them. Yeah. But something I will share in another presentation though, but we do have about 90% of our students who do concurrent enrollment get a C or higher in that programming. So 90%. So it's very high. Students who usually qualify to take college courses do very well in them. Thank you.
A spider? Oh, she's gonna kill spiders. All right. Thank you, Dr. Pariseau. I would like you to please continue to page 8. E1.1.1 was updated in 2021 to align students' proficiency of tools, techniques, and technologies with the continued implementation of the district's digital resource philosophy, which reads, digital resources should be used to enrich learning, promote student achievement, and advance students towards deep, authentic learning in a healthy, balanced, and safe digital environment that is representative of the ever-changing, digitized modern world. In the electronic board packet, there is a link to the entire digital resource philosophy and belief statements. The first indicator of E1.1.1 is measured by ensuring all students have access to digital tools to support their learning. The 2021-22 school year served as the baseline year. This is when the district implemented a one-to-one district-provided device program for students in grades 3 through 12 and a 3-to-1 iPad ratio for students in kindergarten through 2nd grade. The district has made significant investments in digital devices since 2020. These investments, as indicated in graph 1, show that each student in grades 3 through 12 has access to a Windows laptop. The device count is greater than the student count to allow for flexibility in student enrollment and device repair. Graph 2 on page 9 depicts kindergarten through 2nd grade iPad to student ratio. During the 2019 replenishment program evaluation, input from building administrators was gathered and a decision to provide a 3-to-1 iPad ratio for kindergarten through 2nd grade was recommended by the elementary principals. You will notice that the ratio is higher than a 3-to-1 district provided device iPad due to schools purchasing additional devices to lower their ratio to 2-to-1 or even 1-to-1. Based on the data in graphs 1 and 2, the results meets the standard for indicator 1. Students in grade 3 through 12 who choose to bring their own device, or a BYOD, continues to be on the decline. This year, we had approximately 175 parents apply for the BYOD waiver, compared to 250 in the previous year. Parents realize that the benefit of having a fully functional device that the district maintains for an annual fee of only $55. Teachers also prefer that students use the district-provided device because it lessens the amount of time of troubleshooting they must perform during instructional time. On-demand device availability for every student has increased instructional time since it has eliminated the time it takes to move students from the classroom to a computer lab, getting devices from a laptop cart, or having to share devices among several students. All students have the opportunity to participate and engage in every lesson. One example of the impact on teaching and learning when every student has a device is described in a high school civics lesson called I Am an American. This lesson was a collaboration between the teacher librarian and the civics professional learning community, their PLC, to provide students with a foundation for inquiry. Since every student had a laptop, the teachers used Pear Deck platform that allowed students to interact with the material throughout the lesson. The teacher was able to spotlight individual students' answers anonymously for immediate discussion. Student engagement and curiosity were encouraged, required, and recorded in Pear Deck lessons. This is the type of interactive lesson no child goes unnoticed. The second indicator of E 1.1.1 ensures that all students have the access to district-funded tools and technologies. The district provided funding and support for 3 major platforms. The platforms are Seesaw for grades pre-K through 2nd, as well as Schoology and Microsoft Suite for all district sites. To ensure best practices for student outcomes, professional learning opportunities continue to be offered. Appendix D on page 22 lists professional learning opportunities that were offered to staff in support of these tools and technologies during the 2022-2023 school year. Now moving back to page 9, graph 3 represents the number of unique Schoology users for staff, students, and parents. The trend remains consistent over the past 3 years at an average of over 17,500 student logins per month. The login trend is indicative that Schoology is being used consistently. Graph 4 on page 10 are the statistics for Seesaw. The 2022-23 school year was the first year that the district paid for Seesaw access for all pre-K through 2nd grade classrooms. In this adoption year, the unique user login average was 2,785 students per month. That equates to approximately 62% of pre-K through 2nd grade classrooms using the platform consistently. The feedback we continue to receive from the use of Schoology and Seesaw is that students and parents appreciate having a consistent application which facilitates their assignment workflow with their teachers. Additionally, the menu of options has grown dramatically over the last few years due to the demand for integrated applications and curriculum, highlighting the importance of single sign-on for access. The use of anytime, anywhere digital access to learning, the learning environment, has become a cultural norm in the district. Also on page 10 is graph 5, which shows a 3-year trend in the utilization of Microsoft Teams. Unlike the Schoology and Seesaw login trends, Microsoft Teams fluctuates depending on the varied learning environments. When the return to in-person learning in fall of 2021, Microsoft Teams was used at a rate 1.5 times compared to the pre-pandemic use. The district and schools continue to utilize the Microsoft Teams environment to host virtual meetings such as parent-teacher conferences, parent academies, professional learning, and Board of Education meetings, just to name a few. These tools have enhanced the learning environment in our ever-changing, digitized modern world. Statement of reasonable progress for E1.1.1. 2 of the 2 indicators met the standard and aligned with the district digital resource philosophy's 3rd belief statement, which reads, "We believe safe, fair, and equitable access to digital resources is paramount, and that technology and digital resources should be supported by appropriate investment in equipment and infrastructure to ensure equitable access to current tools, resources for all, and provide a robust suite of appropriate digital resources to support timely access to learning. As a result, the end is achieved as interpreted." If there are any questions, we can take those. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Mrs. Patterson, who will continue with E1.1.2. Okay, thank you.
We are now on page 11. E1.1.2 policy provision statement states students will be proficient in critical and innovative thinking. Reasonable progress is accomplished by meeting the indicator. Indicator 1, proficiency in critical thinking in grades 3 through 11 is indicated by applicable Colorado academic standards for English language arts at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. The standard applicable to critical thinking and ELA Standard 4 focused on research and reasoning. For CMAS, district students will meet or exceed the state expectation cut points as reported on the District Performance Framework and MAP growth in English language arts. Please refer to Appendix E on page 25, which also provides evidence of activities and clubs being offered at various schools across the district. Statement of reasonable progress, the district met the indicator, therefore the end is achieved is interpreted. Dr. Field will now share an illustration of critical and innovative thinking from one of our schools.
So several of you mentioned in your board comments this evening about the Atomage table at Discovery Canyon High School. So that is the example that I'm going to share with all of you around critical and innovative thinking. So students that use that table at Discovery Canyon High School are in the biomedical program, and they are exposed to the latest technologies and microbiology through hands-on experience with advanced equipment, preparing them for real-world applications in the field. So the use of the Atomage table provides students with a unique hands-on experience with state-of-the-art digital cadavers, delivering high-level image detail not available through traditional means. Students can interact with life-size virtual cadavers, exploring and manipulating them from various angles and through different tissue levels. The 3D manipulation capabilities of the Atomage table allow for a comprehensive understanding of anatomical structures, fostering students' deep grasp of biomedical concepts. Additionally, the Atomage table features multiple case studies, encouraging students to engage in critical and innovative problem solving as they investigate and evaluate real patient cases. So this approach enables high school students to apply theoretical knowledge to practical scenarios, enhancing their analytical skills in a healthcare context. The program also incorporates state-of-the-art polymers chain reaction, or PCR, DNA fingerprinting, and gel electrophoresis, I did practice this, equipment, providing students with the opportunity to conduct cutting-edge research. By connecting our high school students to current advancements in biomedical science, the program stays responsive to industry trends, simulating real-world problems that prepare students for successful careers in the field.
We're now on page 13. Policy Provision Statement E 1.1.3 states students will be proficient in problem solving. Reasonable progress is accomplished by meeting one of the indicators below. Indicator 1, proficiency in problem solving in grades 3 through 11, is indicated by applicable Colorado academic math standards at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. The result meets the standard for the indicator. Now, Dr. Field will share a story about problem solving at one of our schools.
So problem solving doesn't just happen in math. So the example that I am going to give you from problem solving is from Challenger Middle School, which is one of the schools that I supervise, and I was over there earlier this fall, and I got to observe an interdisciplinary social studies and language arts unit. So this was for 8th grade students, and it was an interdisciplinary social studies and ELA unit about the 13 original colonies. And students problem solve and work together because they were participating in a recruitment fair. Each team of students, and there's like 2 8th grade teams there, but each of the 8th grade students were on a team of 3 or 4 students. It just depended. But they were in a culminating project that entailed a recruitment fair for the 13 original colonies. So students were in small groups posing as colonists and trying to recruit others to join their colony, others being parents, students in the school, other staff members. And they had it set up like a job fair. I was there, it was super fun. And some kids were dressed, well, they were all dressed up like they were in their colony. So students worked together to create what was unique about their colony. So they advertised and discussed things, everything from farming and agriculture, what school was like, or if their colony even had schools, and who could go to school, land ownership opportunities, and food. So like I said, parents, students, and staff attended the recruitment fair and all voted on the best colony to join. You guys want to guess who won? Massachusetts.
We are on page 15, policy provision statement E1.1.4 states students will be proficient in appropriate, creative, and effective communication. Indicator 1, proficiency in appropriate, creative, and effective communication in grades 3 through 11 is indicated by the Colorado Academic Standards in English Language Arts at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. The standards applicable to appropriate, creative, and effective communication include English Language Arts Standards 2 and 3. Based on the standards, the result meets the standard for the indicator. Page 16. Indicator 2, proficiency in appropriate and creative effective communication in grades 3 through 11 is indicated by CMAS math standards, Colorado academic standards in math at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. Based on the standards and the result meets the standard for the indicator. Again, just a reminder that co-curricular activities are represented in Appendix E on page 25 to provide evidence of what students' activities are being offered across the district. A statement of reasonable progress, 2 of the 2 indicators meets the standard, so the end is interpreted. And Dr. Field has one final story for you.
So earlier this fall, during one of Superintendent Haberer's superintendent updates, she highlighted Pioneer Elementary School. And Mr. K. Spear and some of his teachers were here. Olive McRae was one of them. And they have a program called Wolfie News. And this is all about communication. So this story best illustrates creative and effective communication at Pioneer. So the digital learning coach, who is Olive McRae, has led the creation of Wolfie News. And Superintendent, like I said, Haberer showcased Pioneer this fall during her update. So Wolfie News is run by a team of 4th and 5th grade students who are interested in learning beginning broadcasting skills. And we saw some talent right here in this boardroom. They work in teams to capture and report on news around Pioneer. And this is a great tool that allows Pioneer to bring a voice to many students and staff about many different topics. So in addition, Pioneer uses this communication tool to foster a culture of belonging and community across the entire Pioneer community. So that's my last story. So that, I know it's been a big, long presentation. What questions can this team answer for you?
Dr. Field, I had a question. So I had some conversations around, first of all, I love the anecdotal evidence that we have in these. The stories are always really fun to hear. Having some conversations around CASB, I heard people talking about years of growth and tracking years of growth. Is that something that we track? It's not something I remember talking about much. I didn't know if that was something we do track and how we track that.
Absolutely. So one of the places we do it is through our visualizations. So Tableau is a vendor that we utilize. And so we have that captured for years' time for schools can look at it. I'm thinking there's some quick sheets also. So the board has access, and Ms. Shandy and Mr. Wilburn, we can help you guys locate that too. There's a OneNote with data and information. And so there's more additional growth information captured there as well. Is that?
Yes, so that leads into a second question, which is how does the growth that we see from like MAP growth and some of those, is there any relation to that, to years of growth in that? Is there any connection there, or are they completely isolated, or?
So yes, there's connection because every year we want to see kids continue to grow. Our performance on the performance frameworks where we're always exceeding in growth definitely speaks to that because every year is a new year. So this year we tested in spring of 23. We need to be able to demonstrate that those students by 2024 have grown another year's worth of growth. Does that help?
Yes. Does like 50% represent like 1 year of growth, or is it not quite that straightforward?
Well, the scoring is done on a median growth percentile. So they line up all the student scores. Whatever lies in the middle is where that 50 will lie. And so when you do a median like that, you get rid of some of the outliers, unlike an average where you would take, the student who scored a 2% and the student who scored a 99%, because we use an average for achievement, the state does, and so does MAP growth. So they look at it differently, but absolutely. You're doing a good job. That one's the cut points for Matt. He's tracking back there, the poor guy. 26 pages. I know it's a lot. Does that help, Mr. Salt?
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions? No, Ms. Kant?
I just have one question for Mrs. Hartman or Mrs. Kuzer. And I'm not to put you on the spot because I just saw it as I saw this data, this report again. Would you say it's pretty common to maintain, I'm seeing a couple thousand extra devices beyond the student count. Is that necessary that are you finding it's necessary for replacement and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I can certainly speak to that because as we went through this process, in 2020, we had funding. And in order to sustain that, took a proposal last year, and it's a 10-year proposal to look at what it would cost. And we know that CFOs don't like sawtooth in budgets. So the reason that you see, obviously in some years, we have more devices is because of that. We had an influx of money, and now we're still having those devices on our network because they're not 5 years old.
Okay.
So that's a large portion of that, but we do have consistent funding that Cabinet, as well as Becky, Ms. Allen, went through just to ensure that we can sustain the program.
Good. That totally makes sense. Thank you so much.
Can I throw in another caveat to help your cause? No. Is that students for CMAS can't test on their own personal device. And so when you look at the parents who this year, I memorized the 175, like we need a couple hundred devices as well for those kids to be able to test on some of those assessments that don't allow you to test on a personal. We just recently experienced, that's what was fresh in my mind. Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, board, we have an MRE.
Comment for Dr. Field real quick.
Yes, sir.
Very, very impressive, very encouraging. Dr. Field, there are some of us on this body who are rapidly accumulating silver hair. And this business of putting 9-point black font in tiny little cells on top of dark green background is bordering on elder abuse. Just
Definitely need the bifocals. Second of all, you have access to it electronically as well, and I provided it to Tina, so you'll be able to blow it up on your screen. Does that help?
Thank you. All right, for the MRE, is the superintendent's interpretation of the policy reasonable? Is there sufficient evidence to determine compliance for each section? Are all sections in compliance? Recognition of exemplary performance or concerns regarding performance? Would you like to see additional different evidence, or should any part of this policy be changed in the next monitoring report cycle? Do you see evidence which is extraneous or no longer necessary? Okay, thank you. Next up is the monitoring report for executive limitations policy EL 2.4, financial condition and activities. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, and Ms. Becky Allen, Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening and welcome. So this evening, it's my pleasure to present the monitoring report for EL 2.4, Financial Condition and Activities. The period for this is November 22nd, 2022 through November 21st of 2023. If you please turn to page 1 of the report, you'll see the executive limitations policy and the 12 policy provision statements that make it up. Basically, in a nutshell, the superintendent must not spend more funds than received unless Board of Education authorizes use of fund balance, may not indebt District 20 by more than what can be repaid within 60 days, again, unless there's board approval, spend more than $100,000 of unassigned fund balance without board approval, transfer from one fund to another, fail to settle payroll and vendor obligations in a timely manner, commit to a single non-budgeted purchase over $100,000 unless there's an emergency, allow splitting to circumvent purchasing thresholds, fail to ensure that purchases are sound and prudent, allow purchases to differ from the spending limits. The superintendent may not do that. Also needs to make sure that we allow federal and state reports to be filed in a timely manner. We need to have controls that do not go against GAAP, which are the generally accepted accounting principles. And certainly the superintendent may not fail to maintain accurate reports. The report is organized by policy provision statement, and there's data applicable to each that's shown. And as detailed in the report, I am reporting compliance with 12 of the 12 policy provision statements. Do you have any questions for me?
Miss Allen, I had a question about the split
Yes.
funds, and I appreciate your reporting those. So the question really is, I know you said once that occurs, we talk about it with the principals. Do you ever see repeat offenders in that, or does the talking to seem to work?
I would say that most principals, I hate to even say this, they're practically mortified when we call. And I say, we're going to get through this. Here's what I'd like you to do. We need to train the folks again who were involved with it. I'd like you to just remind your whole staff to use, for example, the P card with the proper threshold. And we rarely see a repeat incident of that issue, just because it's something they do take seriously.
Thank you. And those who haven't seen the report, it's a very high threshold that we're talking about splitting. And so we reported incidents of split purchases, but a much lower threshold, so it still stays within compliance within this report.
And in fact, this year, I thought it would be interesting. This is the first time, if you'll notice in the report for those who have seen it before, we went ahead and calculated how many transactions occurred within District 20 during the monitoring period, because I just thought that was important for context. It was 48,063. So it's just a nice data point.
And out of that, we had 2 infractions of.
2 infractions and 1 that was actually a circumvent of the threshold.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's 48,000 going both ways? Purchased?
Yep, just any type of transaction. Yep, and we looked at checks, we looked at P cards, purchase orders for that monitoring period. And so I'm going to continue that when I do this report next year to include that statistic.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Allen. All right, for the monitoring report. Is the superintendent's interpretation of the policy reasonable? Is there sufficient evidence to determine compliance for each section? Are all sections in compliance? Recognition of exemplary performance or concerns regarding performance? Would you like to see additional or different evidence, or should any part of this policy be changed in the next report cycle? Do you see evidence which is extraneous or no longer necessary? All right, thank you so much. Next is 2023 mill levy legislative update. Superintendent Haber.
Mrs. Becky Allen, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. You know, it's funny because when I started to work in learning services and support Dr. Field in E1.1 and then became the CFO, I noticed that there were 2 staple reports always for this one December meeting, E1.1 and the mill levy certification. This year, no mill levy certification. And I wanted to take a few moments to explain why. It doesn't mean we're not doing it, of course, but it's coming. But there's some important updates that came along with it that we thought would just be helpful to share. So again, a typical timeline is we would receive our assessed valuation, the final number from the county assessor's office in enough time, December 10th, to always have our certification for this December meeting. However, this year there was a special session that was called, and there was a Colorado Senate bill put into place. Governor Polis expressed that it was in response to Proposition HH, which was something that was tagged as property tax relief, that he wanted to step in and legislatively look at that and see if there were any changes that could be made to act with that relief in mind. So some of these provisions are summarized on this slide. Basically, the home value exemption that was planned for this year was $15,000. It's been increased to $55,000. Also, the residential assessment rate decreased from 6.765 to 6.7. With that, there are people on the other line at each one of these assessor offices throughout our state that now have to make those adjustments. As such, they cannot meet the deadline. I've always joked that I'm often looking at the levy when the Thanksgiving Day parade, the balloons are going up at the Macy's Day Parade. Not this year. It's going to be closer to the holiday season for our winter break. So we expect maybe, Roger Clark is at the assessor's office, he said maybe by Wednesday of next week. However, please know that the mill levy certification will occur at the January 4th meeting. I don't know yet when I'll have it in board docs because we will be waiting for that final number. But let's just talk about a few pieces in this because it's important. And I know that our community may have also seen some things in the media when this Senate bill came live and some of these changes. There was also a message put out by our governor, and I highlighted a little part of the letter here that went to school district superintendents, basically asking school districts to go ahead and lower their levy as much as they could to help with relieving property taxes. And I really thought it was important because if I didn't have this job as CFO, and I would wonder, well, what could the school district do? And perhaps why didn't they do it? And with all due respect to the governor, it's challenging, a little more challenging than the call shows. So I'd like to just make a few highlights. What you have on the sheet in front of you, first of all, I just want to draw your attention to the lower left part of the slide. That assessed valuation, it is an assumption. Once they increase the exemption to $55,000 and lower the residential assessment rate to 6.7%, we took our preliminary number that we receive in August, and Brian Cortez and I, the director, we tried to fashion what we think a probable assessed valuation ballpark would be. The number I have there cannot possibly be right, but we tried to get something that we thought was reasonable. So I just want to couch all of these illustrations that the number that we get from Roger Clark will most likely differ from this. The further away it is, then the changes from what I have will be a little bit more. But it gives us a ballpark to be able to just have this conversation. What you can see here is that we have a dramatic decrease coming in our total levy. Remember, our levy cap is 60.216 mils. And last year we levied 53.03. And so we'll have a significant chunk below it. I am forecasting, again, with our estimated AV going all the way down to 47.7. That's another over 5 mil decrease. But let's talk a moment about the flexibility we may or may not have in these levies that as a non-CFO, I would think that school districts have by that call to try to lower the levy. So let's just look at the 4 components quickly. The first one with the red one is called the School Finance Act levy. It is set by the state at 27 mils. We are not allowed to lower that levy. We researched it and we could lower the levy to 26 mils or some other mill amount. However, there's a penalty. So what would happen? This is just an illustration. Let's say we did 26 mils. We would get double dinged. We'd lose about 2 mils worth. 1 mil from the lack of taxes, and the state would say, I'm lowering you by 1 mil as well. Based on the estimate, that's about $5.4 million that we would lose. Just to give context, to make that money up, that's 70 teacher salaries. That's all the money we spend on athletic and non-athletic co-curricular activities. Clearly something that would cause harm to our school district. Next, I'm going to go to number 2, the abatement levy. This is a very small levy that the assessor tells us to levy because there'll be some taxes that they can't collect. They tell us the dollar amount, we put the levy, there's nothing to do there. The next one would be our override levy. This is the 26,750,862,000, that amount that we collect each year. Now, if we were to reduce that, remember those dollars already go to pay salaries. So if we said, you know what, let's take 5 million off of that, we'd have to find that 5 million in the general fund because those are ongoing recurring expenses for salaries. That would cause financial harm, not a possibility. The only other fourth piece to our levy is our debt service levy. What that means is it's the money that we collect to pay back our bond payments. Similar to think of a mortgage payment. We have a schedule of payments that we have to handle each year. Now, we really thought about this and thought voluntarily we could perhaps look at trying to lower this levy to help with some relief for our community. So let me go ahead and show you that option. So what you see on this sheet in front of you, the first line tells you what we have as fund balance as of January 1. We make a big payment in December and June. So after we make our December payment, we'll have 24 million left. Now, when we go ahead and look to next year, you can see calendar year 2024. We owe about 29 million in year 2024. And typically, that is what we would levy, enough for 29 million. However, the following year, we have a big drop. We're only going to need to levy 20 million because our payments drop. They kind of sawtooth. Some payments drop off. So another thing to keep in mind, the max we can do is 36 million. We're nowhere near there. So again, typically 29 million. However, what I am proposing is that we use some of that fund balance, that 24 million. We could reduce that by $5 million this year. We'd use one time. This wouldn't be year after year, one time, use 5 million, and that would be a smaller levy for our community that would not put us in financial harm. The only thing it would do is lower our fund balance to about 20 million, but in purple, that's what our new payments are going to start to be. So it's a safe play. I can't move this money anywhere else. You might think, well, Beck, use it for Air Academy and Doug Valley. Can't. Use it for salaries. Can't. There is no movement. The money is collected from our community to pay bond payments. It has no flexibility. So that is why it is something we could look at to help our community while also doing something that does not harm our school district. What would it look like? Here is that number. If you recall, I'm going to sneak over real quick and remind you, what I just showed you was 47.778. If we were to lower that levy by 5 million, we'd be at 45.94, a very significant drop. For me, I wanted to go ahead and play with it. So just to give you an idea, I took a 2023 actual home value of 500,000, okay? And I calculated what the property taxes were in 2023 for the 53.03 mills. Then I looked at foreshadowing for 2024 collection year, and I looked at the full bond levy or the bond levy less 5 million. I also took into account, I pretended that the 500,000 went up by 30% because all of us who are property owners know that our actual value went up. So if we take this model, again, based on the AV, that amount is not going to be perfect. Then if my numbers were exact, which we know that they possibly cannot be, but in the ballpark, then someone with a $500,000 home for 2023 that went to 650 this year with the new provisions in the Senate bill with our 5 million would actually pay $11.39 less than what they paid last year. And that is something that we could voluntarily do to partner with our community and say, these are difficult times, and where we could cut back and not financially harm programming for kids or other aspects, that that is something we could do. Does anyone have any questions for me? Again, I will bring you the official certification in January. Any questions?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for your work on this with your team. I know when we got that letter, we all kind of huddled up, and it was something we would like to be able to do for the community, but as you said, it's a very difficult thing. So I appreciate you going and looking at this. And so this is not a decision that we will be making this evening. This will be in January, and we'll have actual numbers based off of what the assessor provides. But thank you for your work on this. I know this was a really creative way to come up with some way that we could help the community out.
Mr. Salt, may I ask a question? When I come on the 4th, would you prefer that I give both scenarios? Or would you prefer I bring the one of 5 million less for the bond levy, or both? What would you prefer?
I think both.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the expulsion appeal notification. This is a confidential report. State law requires the superintendent to report to the board at the next meeting of the Board of Education after an expulsion appeal hearing is conducted by a hearing officer, CRS 22-33-105, Section 2C. State law, CRS 24-72-243D3. The Public Records Law also requires the Board of Education to comply with provisions of the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, which protects the confidentiality of student discipline records. Therefore, the report by the superintendent on the status of expulsion appeals is confidential. All right, item F, the 2023 CASB Annual Convention Debrief. Who would like to start us off? Ms. Shandy.
All right, it was a very long educational 2.5 days. Great to meet people throughout the state that were there doing the same stuff and hearing some really great information. I loved going to one of the sessions that talked about the different types of data types that we can use for improvement planning. So making it a very whole, well-rounded instead of just using one data point, using demographic and process and perception data points as well. And, you know, using 4 points versus 1 and to give us a more well-rounded. So that was a really enjoyable session for me. So thank you for taking me.
Mr. Wilburn.
First CASB convention, of course, needless to say, very, very informative. It was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. Breakfast with the students was incredible. They came armed with fantastic questions, did not pull punches, asked some very difficult, very challenging questions that are pretty analytical for 16, 17-year-old minds. They were really on top of it. I've heard a lot of keynote speeches in my life. I suspect everybody in the room probably has. The keynote, what was the first day? Thursday was the first day? The keynote the first day was one of the most inspirational speeches I've ever heard in my entire life. This was a young lady, I forget her name, I should have written it down, don't have it with me, who was from the streets of New York City, literally graduated from high school in 2 years, homeless, couch surfing, and when the couch surfing came to its end, was sleeping in city parks on benches, and just an incredible story of perseverance. Finished her education and went on to Harvard and graduated Harvard early as well, and now has an amazing life, just incredible. But the testimony to the human spirit and what the human beings can do, even at that tender age, it was just amazing to hear how somebody knew that their life was going to be transformed through getting a quality education and wasn't going to let anything get in the way. Her parents were both addicts. Her mother died. I think she was 16 years old at the time her mother died. Her father was just off the scene, in and out of halfway homes and things like that. And she was just on her own at age 16. So she just kind of figured out how to work the system, right? And learned. She got her PhD in street and realized I need to get my high school diploma for real, and just put it together and figured it out. It was amazing. If that's available online somewhere, and I bet CASB does make it available online, everyone in the United States should watch that speech. It was the highlight of the weekend for me. I could sit and listen to her all day, every day. But our time with the students and our time with the educators was incredible. And I wasn't looking forward to CASB, but now I'm looking forward to the next one. We actually had a pretty good time and learned a lot. Sessions I attended were informative. Everyone was friendly. Food was good. And had a really enlightening and entertaining time.
Ms. Cons.
Mr. Wilburn, I did have her name written down. Excuse me. It was Liz Murray. So if you've ever heard of From Homeless to Harvard, the Lifetime movie, and I think book too, maybe. So that was her. And I was kind of teasing the teens that joined us on Saturday morning because we all attended the final keynote speech together. And I was like, final day of a conference. I'm not sure about the keynote speech. That was my favorite ever. And all three of them were great. But day 3 was Alex Sheen. Does that sound right? He started, and I shared this at DAC, but it's so inspirational that I just want to share with you guys. He started this nonprofit called Because I Said I Would, and just kind of organically went viral and became a huge endeavor to memorialize his father, who always kept his promises and was always there for him. And so they are these little cards, and the intent is when you make a promise to someone, something important, even if it's a promise to yourself, you write it on this card, and then it says, because I said I would. You own it. It's your promise, but you go give it to whoever is keeping you accountable, or whoever you are promising, your child, that you're going to stop doing something or do something. And you say, I own this, but I don't get to come back and collect it from you until I've kept my promise. So it was just beautiful work that he's doing. So I encourage you to go find his website, becauseisaidiwould.org. Maybe some of our teachers even want to use this, but in our own families. And I love what he said about keeping a promise was it eliminates choices, which sometimes we think we don't want to eliminate choices in our life, but it makes the path very clear. Once you've made a promise, there's no other choices of, wishy-washy. You keep that promise. And so it was an incredible message. I'm glad our students got to hear it too. Something I had mentioned after we attended the national conference in April was how amazed I was that so many other districts falter and fail with, especially with their governance and their board governance and that sort of thing. There was all this infighting of superintendents and board members, and in a session, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm going to get rid of you. And our students noticed the same thing in their session. They said that they just had a new appreciation for how well D20 runs, how successful we are, and made them appreciate the district and all of you guys a whole lot more. So it was amazing to be with the students. Mr. Smith overheard me. I couldn't let go, and I kept wanting to talk to one of them for about a half an hour, but it was really inspirational to me to get to do that. So all the sessions were really awesome this time.
So I think the highlight for me was that student breakfast. This was, I think, the first year that CASB had done that, and that room was packed of students and board members having breakfast together. And as Mr. Wilburn said, the level of questions and the depth of question that the students came prepared to ask and really engage in conversation. It wasn't just asking questions, interview style. It was really about engaging in discourse around those topics. Was a really enlightening opportunity, and really enjoyed that. So I appreciate those students coming out, and Mr. Smith braving that was Saturday morning after that huge storm. So he had to brave that to get them all down south. Went to session with Ms. Cons and Dr. Field, and Durango created this, they call it the Soil Lab. Soil's an acronym, and it's all about environmental learning and ecology, and they grow foods and herbs, and apparently there's flowers that taste like pizza crusts. I'm not convinced it wasn't basil, but we'll see. But it was an incredible area that they had set up with raised gardens and flower beds where they were teaching this whole life cycle. They had plans to expand it to include amphitheaters and some other learning opportunities there on site, and they haven't paid a penny for it. It all came from donations through corporate sponsors and community. The community came together to build it. So it was a really, really neat opportunity for the kids, and the kids were just loving that opportunity. So that was a really cool takeaway for us, and to see that paired with Air Academy doing the horticulture program next. I'm like, we're slowly moving that direction. But I think overall it was a really nice time to get together, new board members and superintendent, and gave us a really good time to bond and have some conversations around just kind of getting to know each other, who we are, and kind of where we're wanting to go. So did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think you guys summed it up really well. I think both the keynotes were probably some of the best I've seen at a conference, and just the inspiration and impact that our personal relations have with colleagues, with students, and you just never know, how your actions are going to positively impact somebody else. And I just really, really appreciate the opportunity to spend time with each of you and know what your vision is and what you're excited about, and just came back charged to accomplish some great work together. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to spend time with you guys.
Thank you. Ms. Cons.
I just kind of to go along with what Superintendent Haber just said, but Liz Murray, the Homeless to Harvard speaker, had this one quote that I think it's apt to leave us with. And she said, each of us is always making a difference. Is it positive or is it negative?
That's good. Thank you. Any last thoughts? All right. Ms. Cortez, how many people do we have signed up to speak during public comment section number 1?
In section 1, we have 1 individual signed up.
Thank you. The board welcomes the comments of our community members. Speakers must sign up prior to 1 p.m. via an online form, and they must limit their remarks to 2 minutes or less. In deference to ASC 20 students will be allowed to speak first during the public comment section. Following any students, speakers who wish to comment on an agenda item will be called in order of their sign up. We also ask speakers to address the board and not others in the room. All speakers will be notified of the remaining time via the mounted monitors behind the dais. When the time is ended, the microphone will turn off. Supplemental written materials can be given to the security guards and they will be delivered to the board secretary. Profanity or any disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated. We greatly value all comments from the public. However, the board will not be responding this evening.
Our speaker in section 1 is Catherine Chukis.
My name is Catherine Chukis. I live in the district, Air Academy parent, SAC parent chair. My West Side animal update today is about bobcats. In our neighborhood, we have 2 bus stops for Eagle View, one at the very top of Hunters Point and one closer to Rockrimmon School off Delmonico. They're about 1.5 miles apart as is standard for middle school. At 7:30 in the morning, there's a lot of kids walking up or down, mainly down. The fun thing on Tuesday's walk for a few students is that they also had the ability to video the 3 bobcats also leisurely strolling downhill. Their paths crossed for a few minutes. My comment today really is about 11A, but first I want to say about Agenda 9D is I know you're going to be talking about 2025 and the fact that the bond payments that we need to make are going to go down then. They're likely to go down to 26 and 27. Try to get a group together to help you think about long-term, about mill levy overrides that are going to be possible in this community as those bond payments goes down. $11 is not going to make any difference to our families out on the east side because their special district mill levies are not going down. So you can't really claim $11 is going to make a difference to anybody. So let's think about the next 3 or 4 years and how we can think about financing things better. Get a committee together. My comment about 11A for board members is because this detail relates to sources of revenues as well. As you'll learn as you read about our budget document about managing $257 million is that counts matter. You as board members can play a role in creating mental and physical spaces for these counts to go up. Our funding is tied to pupil counts. When you look at the numbers that you're certifying today, there might be a combination of PK through 12 or just K through 12. I don't know. That'll be clarified to you. But let's do simple math. As FTE decreases by 100 for K through 12 times 10,000, that's $1 million less in your budget. 100 or 111 FTE is a lot to lose. Please try to understand what's going on. These are not all military moves. Families are making their choices to pull their kids out of the district on a full-time or a part-time basis. One strategic thing we can do is attract more kids into preschool. Families.
Thank you. Your time is up. We need a motion to approve Resolution 341-23, approval of certification of the official October funded pupil count for 23-24.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion, please, Superintendent Haber.
Dr. Jim Smith.
Good evening. I'm not sure if I should apologize or encourage others to wear turtlenecks, but I was encouraged to wear an ugly sweater. I think this meets the need for the ugly sweater. So anyway, you like it? A faux turtleneck? A mock turtleneck? It's itchy. That's what it is. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity to share information about the certified enrollment data from this year's October count. It will come as no surprise that the Central Registry team led by Lisa Porter, and I wish she was here so we could recognize her, begins tracking student data as early as July in anticipation of the annual October count, paying close attention to either growths or declines in our student data. To ensure data is accurate for our accounts, each school performs an audit of their own numbers, and then Central Registry conducts an audit of all of the schools prior to submitting the final numbers to the state. As you can imagine, an accurate count is critically important for our budgeting. This year's submitted pupil counts are 25,503.5 full-time equivalents, or FTEs, and 26,624 total head count. That's the total number of individuals in our schools. Last year, the final verified counts were 25,613.5 full-time equivalents, or FTEs, and 26,622 total head count. You'll note there's very little growth this year. And in fact, over the last 4 years, we've seen very little growth, even outside of the pandemic issue. But this is something we're going to keep in mind as we think about budgeting into the future. And in fact, Ms. Allen, Mr. Smart, and I have been working on projections for next year and how that might impact the budget. So with that, do you have any questions for me?
All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons.
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy.
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn.
Aye.
Mr. Salt.
Aye. Ms. Cortez, how many people do we have signed up to speak during public comment section number 2?
In section 2, we have 3 individuals signed up.
During this portion of public comment, speakers who are speaking on non-agenda topics will be called to speak in order of their sign up. If a speaker does not indicate the topic on which they intend to speak, then they will follow. In order of their sign up time, those speakers who have indicated a specific general topic on which they will be commenting. The second public comment section will be limited to 60 minutes.
So we're going to try something that we did before. I'm going to say the first speaker and the following speaker, so that you know you're on deck. So first we'll have Kate Peterson, who will be followed by Bernadette Guthrie. Well, that ruined my plan. So first we have Bernadette Guthrie, and then she will be followed by Brett Dayberry. So Brett is on deck. Bernadette's up next.
Good evening. My name is Bernadette Guthrie, and I stand before you as the parent of one of the young children Derek Wilburn traumatized on October 4th, 2023 at the Student Forum held at CTMS. I'll start by saying, the definition of a predator is someone who exploits, manipulates, or harms others for personal gain, satisfaction, or gratification. During the Student Forum held on October 4th, Derek, as part of his campaign, read graphic sexual passages about rape and incest from the book Push to young children, a grossly perverted act that left my child and others emotionally scarred. Despite my attempts to address this matter, there has been a lack of action to rectify the situation, to support my child, or to ensure the safety of other children from such distressing experiences. What compounds the distress is the avoidance, victim blaming, and gaslighting I face from the district in addressing this issue. It's disheartening that instead of accountability and support, there's been a dismissal of the gravity of this incident and its impact on the innocent children you've taken an oath to serve. Let me be very clear. I will not drop this matter, no matter how uncomfortable it may make all of you. As a parent, it is my duty and right to advocate for the safety and well-being of my child. I will be at every board meeting to remind Mr. Wilburn, this board, and the community that he is a danger to children and unfit to serve. I implore the board to publicly condemn these crimes against children, to provide support to the affected D20 students, and to ensure no child undergoes such distress in the future. And for the official record, Push by Sapphire is not in any middle school library, despite Aaron Salt, Nicole Kahns, Derek Wilburn, and Amy Shandy insisting that it is. I respectfully request that somebody on the cabinet give this board a tutorial on how to properly utilize the Full at Destiny system so they can easily search where books are in the district. This blatant misrepresentation and deliberate ignorance not only undermines trust, but also fails your dedicated staff by spreading misinformation. Thank you.
Our final speaker for the evening is Brett Dayberry.
D20 has a reconsideration of library materials procedure called IJLR2. During 2023 alone, there have been 4 different versions. The goalposts are continually being moved. Up until August 11th, grandparents of students were able to voice their concerns through this procedure, not after August 11th. Hence, their opinions no longer mattered. As I started this process with a book entitled Almost Perfect, which is available in my granddaughter's school library, after reading the book, I found numerous extremely vile passages. But I was told by Tacey Killingsworth that since I'm only a grandparent and live just outside the district lines, that, quote, the district is unable to forward your request for reconsideration. It's fully apparent to me that D20 does not value the input of its grandparents. For that reason, I'm forced to take another approach and simply read some of the book passages at this school board meeting. I suggest those that have young children in attendance cover your ears. As I read this, ask yourselves, what redeeming value does this book provide to our students? And more importantly, why is the D20 administration doing everything in their power to keep materials like this in our school libraries? Page 100. Now my mental image of her naked body filled me with horror. Big hairy balls, an 8-inch cock, flat hairy chest, and hairy back. And I had kissed her. No, wait, not her, him. Page 290. I tried to get out of the car and the son of a bitch followed me. He fucking tackled
Mr. Dayberry, the policy states that we are not allowed to have profanity.
me, begging for him to stop, but he just smiled and said he was going to fuck me up.
Security, could you please ask him to step out? He is not following the policy. Order, please. Thank you. Superintendent Haber, do you have any clarification or next steps?
No, I do not.
Thank you. All right, debrief. Happy birthday, Dr. Smith. All right, was our business this evening focused on activities that promote and honor our mission statement, our belief statements, and our global end statement that reminds us that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success? All right, this meeting is adjourned.